Ladies and gentlemen, good day to you all, and welcome to our first game this evening of the Coffee Cast. I would like to welcome you all here, and I know that we have two freaking awesome players playing for us here today. We have AciesPure spawning in the top left of WCG Tal'Darim Altar. You will notice this tile set is pretty much like the death version of our normal Tal'Darim Altar. WCG is the World Cyber Games. It was very, very popular for Starcraft 1. Not too big in Starcraft 2 yet. They might make a comeback. But pretty much it's just a different tile set. Is as much as I can really tell. Maybe a little bit of clutter removed that allows a little bit more free movement and a little bit better sight on the map. Other than that, not too big of a deal. Once again, we have AciesPure spawning as the Teal Protoss here in the upper left-hand corner, and down in the bottom right we have, who is normally our Terran Titan, we have T spawning as the Red Zerg player in the lower right-hand corner. So, T played, like he said earlier in the game, Zerg many moons ago. I mean, it's been a long time since he's actually played Zerg. So, against my better judgment, not against my better judgment, I don't know what I was going for, I would give this game to Pure. I would give the advantage to Pure in this game, as Pure is obviously a fairly refined Protoss player. We've seen that time and time again out of his playstyle. And T, who is normally a fairly refined Terran player, has lost to Pure a couple times as Terran. And so I can't see why one of his off races will be able to best Pure. However, we are not against upsets here. We've seen a couple upsets. We've seen B take out T. If any of you guys have seen B play, he is a slightly lower caliber than T, but did manage to just completely roll him on our last amateur attack on Thursday. So you can really see anything in these amateur games, which is what I love about them so much. We do have a Forge Fast Expand coming out of AciesPure here, which is very, very standard. We actually, oh wow, he actually got up pretty much his entire defense grid before even laying down his Nexus. A lot of the time you will see Forge, Nexus, Cannon, or maybe Forge, Cannon, Nexus, but rarely will you see this second pylon and a gateway come down before that Nexus. I don't know. Maybe he thought this pool was earlier than it really was. This pool, 10, 12 pool maybe. It looks like we are going to be seeing a Roach Warren. So there will be a Roach Bust coming out of T. Roach Bust obviously very good against this Forge Fast Expand. That is the most... Well, that's the quickest way to try to break it down and do a little bit of damage. I wouldn't say it's the most common follow-up, because a lot of the times Zerg will just lay down an expansion of their own. But in this case, it's a very, very viable build, but this is a rather large rush distance to be going for a Roach Rush. Those Roaches are going to be without speed in this early game. So, I do wonder how effective this will be. However, currently there is only one cannon. This probe is sitting back here, so he might be able to scout this out before it happens. But if there's only one cannon here to defend, AciesPure might find himself in quite a bit of trouble when the Roaches do come knocking on the door. We do have quite a few Harvesters out of AciesPure here, 23 to 17, in favor of our Protoss Menace. So, I mean, it's going to be one of those things where if AciesPure can hold this off, he's going to be in a really, really good position. And the Roaches are on the way now. I do not know if the pro spotted that or not. I do not see any sort of big reaction yet, though he does not have many minerals for a big reaction. And it doesn't look like, no, he's starting to spend money on probes rather than cannons, so I do not think AciesPure did spot these Roaches coming in. I believe there are 7 Roaches on the field now coming up, and an expansion laid down behind this 4T. That is a very good follow-up, and here are the Roaches. The Zealot is going to go down immediately, and now these Roaches are going to be able to outrange this cannon, unless T decides to push all the way up. It looks like he's going to take out the cannon instead of one of the buildings, and now he's going for one of the buildings. There is a Stargate being laid down for AciesPure. However, that is going to take a little bit of time to get through, to get down and finish. Now this pylon is going to go down. The Roaches need to go in and stop that pylon from going down. They are not able to. However, that pylon is not canceled. There is 100 lost minerals. That sentry is immediately sniped, and it looks like this Roach Bust is going to be extremely effective. This pylon here is likely going to go down, which is going to unpower the one single gateway and the warp gate tech that was being researched at the time. Now, once again, don't forget that if AciesPure does still manage to hold this off, there is still the hatchery going down back in T's natural. However, the Stargate is now finished. T is going to need to move in and try to take out the pylon that is powering that. Both of the pylons, actually, there are 2 pylons right now. It looks like he's content in taking out the cybernetics core for the moment, but he could outright win this game as he goes in and takes out one of those pylons. The second pylon over here is going to fall, which is going to nearly supply block AciesPure. But it looks like T, for some reason, not even moving into the base to scout to see what's going on. And this Void Ray is going to be a nasty surprise for him in that case. All the tech out here is going to fall, though. The Nexus is going to stand, however. So, I don't know, some of the solutions, some of the target firing solutions, maybe a little bit questionable out of T. However, none are bad by any means. Here is the probe coming down to scout. Does see that there's an expansion there. And it looks like T might just stick in here and do as much damage as he possibly can before this Void Ray finishes up cleaning up the roaches. And that could actually be quite a bit of damage. AciesPure is supply blocked right now, 36 down to 36. One pylon just now started, so it's going to be a little bit before that does get finished. There are 2 gateways down on the field. This Void Ray beginning to plow through roaches. 4 roaches are down, and once it gets fully charged like it is now, they go through this so quickly. And this Nexus is going to fall. That is such a bad situation for AciesPure. We do have the evolution chamber going down now, which will allow Spore Crawlers to get up, and there are only going to be 2 Void Rays on the field, which is just not going to be enough to do the damage to the Zerg player that AciesPure needs to do. And we do have a Phoenix coming out now, but you got to remember once again that AciesPure lost a gateway and a cyber tech, so at 9 minutes of the game, he's just pretty much getting up his first gateway and starting his warp gate research. He is so far behind in the tech. Now we do have 1 Spore Crawler going down in the back of the base right now. They're going to need to be more, maybe another Queen or 2 as well. I don't know where the other ones are. There's a Spine Crawler right there and another Spore Crawler, so there are 2 Spore Crawlers sitting out the front. They're going to need to be another one in the mineral line, though. Here come the Void Rays. This Queen is really going to need to come up and start fending that off. T really needs to pull up his other Queen to be able to properly defend this, as 1 Queen just is not going to be enough against 2 Void Rays. The Void Rays definitely have the advantage, especially when there's a Phoenix on the field as well. They'll pick up that Queen. Now, once again, T, the best option here is just to start making some Queens, because that is going to be your most mobile defense, and a couple of Spore Crawlers for backup is always nice, but it is not going to be enough overall. And although it looks like the Spore Crawler is going to start attacking one of these Void Rays, does not even get through the shields of the first one, and now it is starting to do a little bit of hull damage, but not much damage is going to be taken by either of these Void Rays. 1 Void Ray about down to half health, 1 more Queen on the way, however. The Spore Crawler a little bit out of position. The drones are forced to be pulled. A Spore Crawler is being made there, and it looks like the roaches are going to start moving in for a counterattack. That is a beautiful move by AciesPure, as there pretty much is nothing left back here to defend. Now the hatchery is being focused down right here, and the hatchery is likely going to go down, but will this Nexus go down again is another big question. Now, T could really use to micro these roaches around, make sure that he doesn't lose those, because he's going to want as much firepower as he can possibly get in this battle. The Void Rays are being pulled back as well as the 3 Phoenixes, so the attack is going to stop for the moment. Now, if T can take down these 2 pylons once again, it can do a lot of damage, but it looks like instead he's going to be focusing down that Stargate. Nope, now going for the pylon. Now he's going to need to make sure not to lose any of these roaches to the Zealot. He does a good job of microing that around, and it looks like he should be reestablishing this expansion as soon as he possibly can. Now it looks like this other pylon is indeed going to go down, Artosis pylons, so that's going to be a hassle for T, as he's going to lose 2 warp gates momentarily once again. And it looks like this pylon over here may go down as well, because these extraordinarily slow Void Rays are just now catching up. This expansion is not refinished yet for AciesPure. Now the Hydrolist Den has gone down, which is going to be extremely good against these areas, but if you do not know already, these Phoenixes are a very hard counter to Hydrolist, but this Stargate may fall. It's going to be kind of a close call, but I think he might get it, and oh my goodness, he does get the Stargate, so AciesPure back down to a 3 gate. So it's almost like the game is almost reset, because it's almost like T was doing a 1 base, and it's almost like Pure is kind of doing some sort of wacky 2 base strategy. All the tech has fallen for AciesPure twice now. That has got to be extraordinarily painful. On the income tab, we do see that AciesPure is ahead 33 to 28 harvesters. There is a little bit of a lead there. He also does have his second main base up as well. And for those of you experiencing lag in the stream, just refresh the browser. That actually normally does quite a bit. Now, AciesPure knows that the logical follow-up from this will be Hydrolist. So he is smartly getting down a robo facility, which will allow him to get Colossus up fairly, I wouldn't say fairly shortly, but in due time. And Colossus obviously just roast away Hydrolisks. Now, we do have a couple of Spore Crawlers, and actually, T using Overlords to create creep for the Spore Crawlers. If you didn't know, Zerg buildings actually take damage if they are not on creep. So if the hatchery gets destroyed and the creep begins to recede, Zerg buildings will begin taking damage and will not start regenerating until you get more creep on them from a hatchery or, for instance, from an Overlord spewing creep down onto them. Now we do have a little bit of a force sitting back here for AciesPure, so he's going to be able to defend if T does decide to attack him, but I do not think T will, as he's going to probably be focusing on just trying to get out a couple of rounds of drones. We do have an Overseer on the way here that will likely fly up and see what precisely AciesPure is doing. And there is that Robo Bay I was talking about. Once again, such a logical follow-up to the build. Well, I wouldn't say the build. I think that this game is still fairly build lacking. But airplay by Protoss is almost always going to force Hydralisks out of the Zerg player, and that's when you want to switch over to that Colossus tech. Now, if T was smart, he would know this. I wouldn't say if he was smart. If he was thinking properly, he would know this and already begin switching away from these Hydralisks. Try to get a Spire down, maybe to get Corruptors to snipe those Colossus. However, it shouldn't. If T does attack soon, I don't know. This is quite a nasty little army. T's actually just in kind of a bad position at this point. He's actually under. He's undersupplied, under the harvester count, and as a Zerg player, you never want to be under the harvester count and never undersupply, especially because I mean Zerg just have this mass production capability, and yeah, T actually for Ninja, who is asking in the chat. T is a Platinum Terran player, but he's playing his off-race Zerg, so I don't technically know what he is. If I was to guess, I would say that he's about a gold level Zerg. Probably a gold level Zerg. So we do have this observer is going to get taken out in the main base. That's always a nice little bonus for the Zerg player. Really needs to make sure to stay on top of the larva injects. You do see a couple of queens here with quite a bit of energy. He could push out and do some creeping out on the map, which would allow him to attack Pure faster, which is something that he could probably does need. We are going to be seeing grooved spines coming out of our Zerg player, which gives those Hydralisks the +1 attack range, which is I mean +1 attack range. It may not sound like much, but it really is. It gives Hydralisks a range of 6, so they can range on Stalkers, who also have a range of 6. So Stalkers will no longer outrange them, and in this case it won't matter because Extended Thermal Lance is about to be done. Colossi have a range of 6 until you get that Extended Thermal Lance, at which point they become a range of 9, as you are seeing right there. There are now 2 Colossi out on the field, and that is just going to prove devastating. In fact, this entire composition versus T's army is just going to be devastating. And T really needs to figure this out because he keeps spawning Hydralisks, and with so many Colossus, well, I guess 2 Colossus and a 3rd Colossus on the way, this is not a good composition. In fact, this is almost as bad as you can get. We do have +1 Carapace, just kind of starting now. And for some reason, another Spore Crawler, you would think that his base is well defended enough. Maybe he's just a little bit paranoid. I don't actually know where that Spore Crawler is going down. There it is, over in the back of the mineral line. He could actually probably pull a couple of these over to the side here. It looks like this attack is going to be commencing fairly shortly here. One probe does go down, so AciesPure knows what is happening and that this attack is about to come. So he does have 3 Colossus out on the field now, which against Hydralisk, yeah, that's not going to be very good. Now here's the attack. There are some beautiful fortunes cutting the Zerg army in half, and there's the GG before the battle even really gets underway. T knows that is just too many Colossus. The force fields were just too good in that case, and T was forced to GG out. T had a very marvelous timing attack in the early game, able to do quite a bit of damage to AciesPure, taking out the Forge, the Gateway, and the Cybernetics Core that created his wall, AciesPure's wall, at his expansion after attempting a Forge Fast Expand. However, AciesPure was able to get a couple of Void Rays out to defend against that, rush down to T's base, and return the favor, taking out T's expanding hatchery, and a lot of damage was done to both players, and Pure just being a little bit more resilient, coming back from that a little bit better, and giving a very, very good showing. That was a great game.